So we've now got Oren from Pave. Thanks for coming along to NewFinance. My first question is, now you've had a background as a lawyer, I think, for a Magic Circle firm.
Yes.
And then you became a financier and so on. And then you went for the F-Cancer project, and then you ended up with Pave. So I'm kind of intrigued in how you managed to get from lawyer through to Pave. So what's been your journey?
I was also a doctor for 4 years.
You're a doctor?
I'm kidding.
You're a doctor?
I wasn't. But I've done a lot of different, career progressions / changes. So I sometimes joke about that. So I started my career as a lawyer at Clifford Chance. It's a global law firm based in London. And then I specialized in structured finance and derivatives. And I ended up at Goldman Sachs for about 3 years before leaving with a partner there to carry out an investment strategy we were doing at Goldman's in a hedge fund context. So I worked at GOG for another 3 years. It's actually a US listed hedge fund which was bought by the Mann Group. And always with a view to become kind of closer to business. I was investing in businesses at Goldman, same at the hedge fund. But I really have always been more entrepreneurial. And I had this family situation where my mother was affected by cancer. And during my time at GOG, I set up an online cancer charity called the F-Cancer Project. It's fcancer.org, and instead of giving money, you give our units of your skill to cancer charities in need of those skills. We're actually bringing it to the US early next year. So that's doing very well, but that was a kind of non-profit. And I ended up leaving the hedge fund, running a family office, some Goldman partners, some GOG partners, and a ex-Goldman colleague of mine said, hey, what do you think about investing in people instead of investing in companies? And I thought, kind of interesting. But what are you talking about? And he said, well, my friend has this situation. He wants me to lend him money. I don't want to lend him money. I want to invest in him and have a share of the profits. So it got me thinking, well, how about we kind of commercialize that and we have that as a solution to people starting their careers. Instead of taking on debt, they actually work out a way to have other people invest in their future success. And you have this natural alignment of interest. And I've seen in finance that whenever you actually align interests of parties, things tend to work out for the better. So I actually left what I was doing. I moved to Palo Alto 2.5 years ago. And Pave 1.0 started life as an income sharing business where other individuals could come to pave.com and they could browse profiles of young people starting their careers and actually invest in their future earnings. So what happened over the last 2 years, we had thousands of applicants for this type of funding. It had never really been done before. We had one competitor in the space, but very, very small numbers. And after 2 years, we realized that this product was just too ahead of its time. It wasn't. It was so novel that it had never been actually, regulated before. It had never been taxed before. Endless conversations with the CFPB, the SEC, the IRS, and investors just were left scratching their heads. And so what we realized was we uncovered this massive need for funding early on in your career because post-financial crisis, post-2008, all the banks had actually pulled out of lending. And at the same time, credit cards fearing a downturn pushed up their interest rates. So people 20 to 35 were like putting $5,000 relocation budgets or courses at General Assembly on credit cards at 17, 18%. And we thought this is crazy, there needs to be a better solution, and hence kind of Pave 2.0 was born.
Okay, is Pave, is there anything else like Pave? What is Pave different from other lending sites? Is there anything else like this at all?
Yeah, in the kind of peer-to-peer or online marketplace lending, you have the two big companies, Prosper and Lending Club now. And those are companies where you can go online and you can effectively borrow money if you have a thick credit file. But the problem is, if you are early on in your career, you don't have a thick credit file. And a lot of the time you're getting turned away from these online lenders or online alternative lenders because their underwriting models don't really go beyond FICO. So the whole opportunity that we see is looking at a more granular level of someone who's graduated from a good college, they have 100,000, let's say, dollars in earnings. They're getting turned away from alternative lenders. They are having to put money on their credit card at 17%. We come on, understand at a more granular level why they are a good credit risk, and we offer them a very simple loan, 2 or 3 year loan, that they can't get anywhere else.
Your website actually says the most affordable rate. Is that right? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
is that true?
I think it's true in some cases, not true necessarily in all of the cases. I think it's true where we extend loans, we will be the most affordable at the moment. To the extent we decline people, obviously, we're not offering a loan there. So our goal is really to actually go well beyond FICO and to approve people who have no credit history. Because we don't think necessarily just because you have a FICO score, that's really your biggest predictor of ability to pay. There's other factors such as employability, which is a huge one. So if you've shown that, for example, you did well in your SATs, you went to a decent college, yet you have never taken out a credit card, that's a pretty good indicator that you're able to get a job, which in turn means you're able to actually earn, which in turn means you're actually able to pay. And there's these kind of additional signals that we're looking at. And so we have a team of data scientists that's really looking at thousands of different data signals to say, what are the other points we can look at actually more indicative of ability to pay versus your traditional underwriting models.
Okay. It also mentions, your website also mentions a millennial funding option. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, that's more in terms of describing the demographic that we're marketing to. So our real value proposition comes in for people aged 20 to 35. And it's that kind of person who's on the upward trajectory, the millennial demographic. That demographic really doesn't resonate with banks. They prefer to actually have their finances dealt with in a very streamlined, tech-enabled way. And that's where we see the big opportunity. So what we're seeing now is a lot of the banks reaching out to us and saying, actually, maybe there's something we can partner together, because even though we have all these depositors, we can't really lend to them, yet maybe we could put them over to you guys, you could lend to them, and some sort of partnership there. So I think we're seeing a big migration in this millennial demographic away from traditional banking, more to kind of online banking. And there's a few recent reports actually that really show millennials' user preferences. Okay.
We did this thing, I think it was last year, about this whole business about crowdfunding and accredited investors and so on, and the Jobs Act and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not a great legal expert, but does that all apply to you as well? And do people investing through your platform into people rather than sort of businesses? Are you still under the same restrictions on accredited investors?
Yeah, unfortunately, until we either take advantage of this, one of the kind of titles in the Jobs Act coming out, which actually isn't that easy to take advantage of, but either that or we actually go and do a public issuance with the SEC, we're limited to accredited investors. So for the moment, everyone lending money on Pave.com is an accredited or a family office or an institution.
And the definition of accredited is
over $200,000 of earnings for the last 3 years, or 1 million in net assets.
Right, so it's still fairly high hurdle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the hope is long term that we really do democratize access to funding and have retail investors lend to other people. I think the sites like Lending Club and Prosper, they're doing that now, but they went through a huge cost barrier to do that. They spent upwards of $5 million, $6 million each, maybe even more, on just putting in place the legal structure, and the operational expense of actually having to file every time they issue a loan with the SEC is a huge source of problems for them. And the SEC also doesn't like that as well. So the SEC advised us to just stay away from that for now.
Okay, so I have one final question, which is how much more innovation is there to come in funding? This is a new one to me. Is there more innovation to come, do you think, on the whole lending world or not?
Yeah, I think we're really at the tip of the iceberg. If you look at, for example, just consumer debt alone, outstanding consumer revolving balances are around $850 billion at the moment. The online lending space accounts for just under $5 billion. So you're talking about 0.5% order of magnitude. It's very small. And I think the innovation will come in going not only, beyond consumer, but to other types of lending, so small business lending, and then even more nicheified into, for example, bespoke products for different types of demographics. So for our demographic, millennials, we know that career flexibility is a very important one, payment flexibility. So we've built into our product a grace period where you can take a payment holiday at any period for 3 to 6 months. The interest still accrues, but that's very important to people who, early on in their careers may want to go on holiday for 3 months, may want to stop working, may want to switch their jobs, may want to move cities. I think the innovation will come in not only going to different types of credit, so small business or consumer, but demographic, and also the different types of lending products. So at the moment, the whole peer-to-peer lending market is really focused on one product, an amortizing loan. But credit lines, for example, haven't really been disrupted. The people that own the credit lines are really the credit card companies. And the credit card companies have a very interesting structure in place. You get a credit line day one, and then how do they reward you for making payments? They increase the amount you can borrow. They don't decrease the rate. It's kind of crazy. So we're thinking at Pave, well, hold on, if you make 12 months payment, your credit grade is going up, why isn't your rate coming down? So there's a lot of innovative, I think, products that can come out. I think point of sale products that you're seeing from the likes of Affirm now. Those are interesting products as well. So I think it's a combination of demographic innovation or kind of industry innovation and product innovation that's still to come.
Okay, do we have any questions for Oren?
Hi. Okay, so I'm accredited. I want to lend somebody some money. What's the experience like for me to come to your website and look for people to lend to?
So the experience now is quite different to, I think, where it will be in, let's say, 6 to 9 months. But for now, it's pretty simple. Is we have a fund set up, and your investment is actually almost like an index investment. It's spread across everyone that we're originating loans to. Eventually, what we will migrate to is more where you can set filters pursuant to either a demographic or credit risk, and you'll be able to select on that. The big lesson we learned over the last 2 years was, we spent 2 years building a fully functional peer-to-peer platform where you could go online, you could pick individuals, you could make offers, and investors just don't have the time to really do that, especially accredited investors, where they're investing in $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 at a time. So we just simplified the experience for now. So investors come on, they invest through a fund, it's administered and custodied separately, and they get a exposure to whoever we issue in any given month.
Do you disclose what kind of rates you've been paying we've been paying investors?
Yeah, we're totally transparent. So the rates we are issuing out, we're doing a New York pilot now for the next 3 months. We only launched the loan program 2.5 weeks ago, so we've issued 10 loans, but the rates range from 6% to 14.5%. And that's because of the licensing issues in New York. In December, we'll be going nationwide, and at that stage, the rates will go 6 to 20%, and we'll be operating in most of the United States.
Okay, do we have any other questions? In that case, Oren, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, very interesting.